Shalom. Today we'll focus on French President Emmanuel Macron's recent actions and what impact, if any, they have. France's Macron has stated that on September 21st at the UN General Assembly in New York, France will officially recognize a Palestinian state. This doesn't come entirely out of the blue, as France, Britain, and Canada, along with Saudi Arabia, tried to work together to get more countries involved. Although Britain and Canada have since backed away, France has decided to go it alone. Now, there is cause to believe that much of this action is for internal politics as well as to gain points with his voters. According to a letter from Macron to Mahmoud Abbas, that is Abu Mazen, the 20-year president with no elections of the Palestinian Authority, can you say dictator, in which he asks for commitments to the following: a condemnation of the October 7th attacks, a deep reform within the thoroughly corrupt Palestinian Authority, which will never happen, and an internationally supervised general elections within a year. In order to have him go ahead with this statement, those are the commitments that he demands from Mahmoud Abbas. In just a few days, France and Saudi Arabia will lay out a post-war roadmap leading to the two-state solution covering security, reconstruction, and governance, which they claim will be compatible with the Abraham Accords as well. French officials claim that next week at the UN summit in New York, Arab countries will, some for the first time, condemn Hamas and call for its disarmament. This is a move meant to encourage or lure more European countries to join France as it recognizes a Palestinian state on September 21st. This act by France is a unilateral political act that affirms France's acceptance of Palestine as a sovereign entity, though it does not by itself establish a full state under UN membership rules or enforce diplomatic relations. UN membership for Palestine still requires a Security Council and General Assembly approval. France's act alone does not secure that status. Recognition is political, not a legal enforcement mechanism. France's recognition does not automatically alter the on-the-ground reality for the people there. Now, before we move on to world reactions, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing this video. It helps to get it around to more people who might need to hear some of this. So, let's start in Italy. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni says that recognizing a Palestinian state before it's established on the ground could be counterproductive, saying that the problem could appear solved when it is not, if a virtual recognition of a non-existent state happens. Italy's foreign minister said that recognition of a Palestinian state must happen simultaneously with this new state's recognition of Israel, which is a matter that for decades has been denied by many Arab countries and especially our longtime enemies. Britain said that it should be a part of a larger plan and not a standalone step. It should be just one step in many that would provide Israelis and Palestinians with peace and security as part of the two-state solution. But Britain has, as mentioned, backed off from recognizing the Palestinian state on September 21st. A German government spokesman said that Berlin is not planning to join France in September, but that progress must be made towards the two-state solution. I'll remind you guys that the two-state solution is dead in the water and has been for quite a while, and nothing is going to come of it. But anyways, Geert Wilders of the Netherlands, a staunch supporter of Israel and a strong opponent of Islamic immigration to Europe, commented on France's declaration, showing a map of France with the southeastern coast highlighted. And here's the text of his comment on X. "Here will be the new Palestinian state. Big parts of France are already Islamic anyways. Good luck, Emmanuel Macron and France. Happy suicide. The Netherlands will close its borders immediately. US President Trump, in a very brief statement, said that this declaration is meaningless. But many other US officials had much to say. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio condemned the statement, saying that the US strongly rejects Macron's plan to recognize a PA state at the UN General Assembly, and that this rash decision only serves Hamas's propaganda and hurts the peace process. It is a slap to the victims of October 7th. US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee also commented on X with a few fun posts. For example, how clever! If Macron can just declare the existence of a state, perhaps the UK can declare France a British colony. Another one, Macron's unilateral declaration of a Palestinian state didn't say where it would be. I can now exclusively disclose that France will offer the French Riviera and a new nation will be called Frankenstein. Even Emmanuel Macron himself later added that Hamas should be disarmed and the hostages returned as a separate statement, but one could see it as a bit of a backtrack. Anyways, we'll see. Now, obviously, another thing that we should point out is that France itself has quite a few colonies and areas that it controls and should consider maybe declaring their independence before it starts worrying about other people. But it's always easier to criticize others than to work on yourself. So I suggest that we declare Corsica a free and independent nation, possibly also the West African countries that are declared independent but are practically still colonies of France, and quite a few other areas in the world that are under French control. Later this week, we'll start getting into more topics, such as what's going on in the Sinai, the annexation of Judea and Samaria, the negotiations in Qatar, and quite a bit more. And I would just like to conclude by declaring that I recognize the country of Narnia, with Aslan as its president. Please continue praying for Israel, for the leadership, the soldiers, and for the hostages and their families. Shalom, and God bless you all.